Hello guys, and welcome back to yet another video. Welcome back. We are in day 9 of the self-control series. Yes. Today's gonna be a big one, so buckle up, folks. We're going to be reflecting upon Romans 12 verse 1 to 2, when it says, I appeal to you therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice to God, which is your spiritual worship. Do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Now let's get into it, shall we? How do we understand this, first of all? Well, this verse comes from Romans. Romans was written by Paul. Paul wrote it to the Roman Christians in Rome. A lot of Rome. Yes, I know. But yeah, this book is very theologically heavy. Theologians tend to have a fun time with this book. That is because this book is heavy on the fact that we are saved by God's grace, His mercy, that He has gifted us this gift of salvation out of love, that He has gifted us this righteousness, that once we have this gift, we should live holy lives. And holy doesn't mean perfect, because only God is perfect. Don't get that twisted, because sometimes religion likes to twist that. Holy means getting closer to God, trying to live as good and as righteous as possible according to God's will. And this book is also heavy in emphasizing the fact that we are not bound by sin, and that we are not bound by heavy religious laws nor anything like that that determine whether we are saved or not. Because remember, we are only saved by God's grace, mercy, and love. Our works are done out of faith to God, out of love to God, to also show, to represent, how Jesus was in this current world. This verse is the start of the instructions of applying that knowledge. Because Romans is heavy, and I mean heavy. The first 11 chapters are all about what I just said. Paul goes deep into law, sin, being saved by God's grace. It's similar to Galatians, if you remember what I said in the day 5 video, but this is more heavy on that. And then starting chapter 12, starting specifically with the passage that I read, is where Paul starts with the instructions. And this quite literally the start. Giving yourself to God is the start of everything, really. What does this say about self-control? This is the very foundation that I have been talking about since day 1. Giving yourself to God. We can only acquire self-control by coming to God, by offering our life as living sacrifices to God. Because 2 Timothy 1 verse 7 alludes to it, and Galatians 5 verse 22 to 23 say it. The self-control is something that is given by God. But we need to get closer to God in order to acquire it. Now, how do we apply this? Here we go, guys. Well, obviously, we have to get close to God. We have to daily offer our bodies, our lives, better said, because bodies can sound a bit controversial to some. Well, lives too, but anyways, we have to daily sacrifice our flesh, the thoughts, our temptations to God, and live as trying to be more spiritual beings, trying to be beings who get closer to God on a daily basis. Remember that we are living sacrifices. We are not the sacrifices in the Old Testament that were killed and that was it. And once that was done, the next sacrifice, they would use another sheep, they would use another cow. No. We are living sacrifices. That means that every day we must do our best to give ourselves to God. And that in and of itself is a gift. We don't have to be perfect to come to God once. No. God wants to daily carry our cross and bit by bit come to Him, because He is glad of that. He will accept that more than you think, even if it's the tiniest step and you feel like you're doing nothing. We have to daily come to God as living sacrifices. And the amazing thing is that when coming to God, you don't just get self-control. You get closer to true love, true faith, true kindness, true patience, true mercy, true justice, I just said that. Anyways, many more things. And that is a gift. And the amazing thing is that when you look at the big picture, God is asking us for so little. Because I know that we're humans. Giving ourselves to God despite having anxiety, wanting control over our own lives is hard, and I'm not going to deny that. But look at the big picture for a second. Remember that God created us. That is an honor in and of itself, a gift in and of itself. And then after that, for millennium, we have been sinning against God to his face. A God who is so loving and just breaks our hearts. But yet, despite that, out of love, out of mercy, he gave his only son for us to die on the cross because he knew that none of us could do that. So instead, he did it. And instead, asked of us a relationship with him. So come to him daily as you would for any human relationship. So when you think about it in the bigger picture, it is so little. Yet it can feel like a lot. And I understand that. We are human. That's why God wants us to come to him. Because he will give us strength. He will refuge us. He will comfort us. He will love us and guide us and be there. Lastly, remember this. The verse doesn't just say to give yourselves to God. No. It says to not conform to this world. It says to transform your mind, to renew your mind. When you are coming to God, when you give your life to God, you can no longer be that past self. You cannot say, oh, God will forgive me, so I'm going to just do that. No, that is abusing grace and you are not getting closer to God. You have to sacrifice the flesh. You have to sacrifice those temptations. You have to sacrifice those worldly habits that you lived by before and give them to God. And renew your mind, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions, to center them around God, to live more godly, to live more according to God's will. It is hard, it is not easy, and for each and every one of us, it can be different. So, as homework, of course, memorize this verse, keep it in your hearts. This verse is very true and very impactful and very important. But ask yourself, what does conforming to this world mean? Then what does this mean to you? Are you doing it? And then, what does renewing your mind mean? Renewing your mind to God. And then, how can you do it? Reflect. Spend time in prayer. Spend time in the Bible. Spend time fasting, worship, whatever you need to. But spend time with God. Because God will reveal what it is that you lack, what it is that you need, what it is that you need to start doing. Maybe not immediately, but once you do, or once you already have realized that, take action. And again, for each and every one of us, it can be different, so spend time with God. I know this can be very uncomfortable for some, very hard for some to accept, because some live with anxiety on a daily basis. Some live wanting to be in control of their lives. Some live with pride even. Giving your life to God can be very hard. Some people may be so prideful that they don't want to give their lives to God because they don't see God. They don't feel God sometimes, but God is there and God is loving. And despite that, he wants us to come to him. And this can be a very hard reality to accept for some, but it's very worth it once you accept it and follow it. Hope you apply this. I pray that God spoke to you if it was his will. See you on the next one. God bless you all. Bye.